Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings on this hot, steamy Melbourne day. The topic today is a really serious one. And if you're a parent dealing with your child being hurt by a narcissist, I really want you to watch this. Because our children are precious to us, they're innocent, they're defenseless, and it's up to us to protect them as much as we can. In today's Thriver TV episode, I want to share with you why what we instinctively do to help our children doesn't work with narcissists and how to turn this around so that we can truly help our children. And I promise you this, after going through terrible events with my own son suffering, as well as helping countless adults with their children over the last 10 plus years, that what I'm sharing with you today works. And it's not reliant on the narcissist changing or even other people helping you. You alone can set in motion what is necessary to protect and help your children. All right, so before we do a deep dive into the meat of today's episode, I just want to make sure that if you haven't already, that you subscribe to my channel and also leave a like if you enjoyed this video. All right, so what not to do as a parent. And I'm just going to be really straight with you about this. And I know it can be really hard to hear, but I want to do everything I can to help you and your children because I feel very strongly about this topic. Our children are our future, and if we want narcissistic abuse to stop, the buck has got to stop here. So this terrible scourge of abuse abused is not passed down through the generations, which it has been. And of course, as a parent, there is no greater trauma than watching our children suffer at the hands of another. I've been through it too. I know how agonizing it is to feel completely powerless to stop your child being hurt. And what usually happens to every parent going through this is no matter how hard you try to help your child or get them to see reason or get systems and authorities to help, it just doesn't seem to happen. And that's why we've got to work with this another way, a way that does work, a quantum way, where we can enlist the indisputable laws of life that are as absolute as gravity. And I want you to know that when you do this, you aren't powerless. But let's first look at the ways that we've been trying to help our children, ways that have only made matters worse. And I promise you, these were all the things that I used to do as well. The first huge issue is being in judgment to what is happening. And I know, my God, you may already be jumping up and down and wanting to throttle me for telling you that being in judgment to the horrible situation your child is in and you know what the narcissist is doing, being in judgment to that is wrong. Now, I'm not saying that the judgment is wrong per se. I totally understand why you would see it all as wrong. But you know what? I personally don't give a damn about what is right or wrong. I'm much more focused on what is going to work, what's going to help. So what I'm saying to you is that judging this as wrong is not going to help your child in any shape or form. And of course, this isn't the result that we want to produce. So let me explain why judgment doesn't work. A powerful quantum law is this: whatever you're in judgment about, you deeply cement further into your experience. And whatever you're in acceptance of and you start working with to transform healthily means that you can change it. As well as, if you try to change anyone outside of you to make your emotions feel better, it won't work, including things with your children. And it's certainly been my personal experience that when I tried to lecture and prescribe to my child and control what he was or wasn't doing, that he would only push back and do it more. And of course, we know narcissists do that if we try to stop them doing whatever they're doing. So, you know, with your child and with what the narcissist has been doing, can you as a parent relate? The harder you try, the worse it gets. If so, I would love to hear from you about this in the comments below. So in quantum truth, you have to shift your feelings first, and then everything can shift. And you're coming from a completely different generative source. You're in a position to be able to influence people and the situation and get it to shift to meet you at a level where you already are at. And that was my 100% proof of the truth of this with my son. And I've seen the same happen with so many parents in this community with their children. When I let go of damning my son's state and the situation because of narcissistic abuse and the damage that I'd gone through, and I instead accepted that his and my soul journey was perfect for mine and his healing and evolution, that there was no mistakes with this. When I accepted it and started working with it, everything started to shift, because I got down to the business of deeply devoting and applying myself to my inner healing to lead the way. And it was then that I was able to stop being distraught and doing lecturing and prescribing and trying to control situations, which of course had been coming from my own inner power of brokenness and helplessness. And instead, I started to show up for myself and my son, seeing and believing deep within my soul that his innate inner wisdom could and would do the same. And I recognized that his journey was unfolding perfectly for him. And my greatest duty was to be as healthy as I could be and lead the way, regardless of what was happening. With this orientation, my son Zach very quickly emerged from a hopeless situation of trauma-fueled addictions to awakening into his power. Not from a place of my doingness, but in response to my beingness. So let's have a look at what we have to let go of doing whilst trying to help our children. Okay, the first thing is holding them responsible for our emotions. I know it's big, but we can really work at this. Requiring our children to be a certain way for us to be healthy. Carrying guilt and shame regarding what has happened to our children. Fixating on and obsessing about what is happening to them. Trying to fix, lecture and prescribe to them. Blaming and shaming our children or others in front of them, including the narcissist. Telling them about ours and their victimization and how bad other people are. All of the above only causes more of the pain and the trauma that us and our children are stuck in. And of course, victimization, which means that us and our children are going to continue to be victimized. So within, so without. So what do we need to do to help our children? I go into this in great detail in chapter 18 in my book, You Can Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse. And I talk about my journey with Zach, as well as a shift from unconscious to conscious parenting. And I promise you that this shift doesn't just happen for older children, it can happen for younger ones too, if you're wondering, and I'm sure you are. Because the truth is that at any age, where our energy goes is where our children's energy goes as well. And it's vital that we focus determinedly on our own healing so that we can be the safe, solid, wise and calm parent who is there for our children. I love the aeroplane metaphor, and I talk about it often. Many personal development teachers do. It's so important to understand how we're told if the aeroplane loses oxygen to always put your oxygen mask on first before assisting anyone else. And this is the worst mistake I see parents commonly make, which I did as well, that they're trying to help their own children heal and get empowered when they're failing to take responsibility to lead by example and do our own healing first. This is as dangerous for our children as it is somebody trying to save another person when they themselves are suffocating and distressed. And I promise you this, in all of the thousands of people I've dealt with in the 10 plus years recovering from narcissistic abuse, I have never seen one still traumatized, broken parent help their child in a positive way. I haven't seen it. And I really want you to know that, because I was doing the same thing. If we are devastated about what is happening to our child at the hand of a narcissist and we see and feel it like this, then that's exactly what's going to continue as the experience we experience from our children in our experience. It's quantum law. So within, so without. And it's further accentuated if we're still in our own trauma and brokenness and powerlessness and victimization. However, if we have enough of our own healing underway, where we come into a place of calm, power and solidness that is much less distressing and destabilizing than our previous victimhood. And when we're sane and safe enough with oxygen, which is consciousness, then we're in a position to help our children for real. And there's also the very real phenomenon of quantum entanglement, which I've seen happen over and over again. And it means where we shift to, our children organically follow without us even having to do anything. It just happens. And I promise you that. And it's got nothing to do with what the narcissist is or isn't doing. And what it means is, even if our children are very young, they will start to get the ability to navigate, be themselves, not be exploited by the narcissist as they were previously. And as they get older, they're developing into anchoring into their own authenticity and true identity without the narcissist being able to derail them. No longer are they being personally poisoned by a false self. They're becoming their own true self, empowered, impervious to abuse, and incredibly evolved, capable, and flourishing. There are so many children in this community who have been co-parented with narcissists, with a thriver parent, who are beyond astounding children, even those that are still being co-parented by a narcissist. And I wrote about Beatrizs, a highly dedicated narcissistic abuse recovery program member, and her young son. And she shares custody with a narcissist still to this day with her son. And I wrote about this in my book. So I really want to share this with you because it's just such important information. Okay, so let me just get this and I'll read this out to you because I really hope that it can inspire you. Okay, let me find it. Here we go. This is what Beatrizs put in a testimony. She said, 2 years ago, I was a wreck. I had severe insomnia and nightmares if I did sleep. And at the time, my son was given the labels of having ADHD, anxiety, depressive symptoms, and much more. He was only 12 months old when he was diagnosed with all of that stuff. Now he no longer has these labels, which were due to him being triggered terribly with trauma. And I can proudly say that at the age of 39, I've never been in better shape physically, mentally, and emotionally myself. Today's my son's brilliance is staggering. His comprehension of the entire situation boggles my mind. And his ability to discern situations and vote with his feet have become so obvious that I have very little concern for him navigating the world and his relationship with a narcissist, and he's not yet 4. As I have emerged, my child has shown strength and fortitude well beyond his years. He's thoughtful and highly empathetic. He's quick to express his emotions. I call him emotionally agile. And he is able to articulate that emotions are just sensations in his body, and he'd rather let them out. Oh my God, what an incredible thing to learn and do as a little kid. Can you imagine what our lives would have been like if we learnt this stuff? He has many wonderful ways in which he does this. After me doing the work on him by proxy, he organically and intuitively started following my lead. I am awed by him every single day, and he's just getting brighter and brighter and more gorgeous. Isn't that phenomenal? And this is the thing. Look at the gift of this. If it hadn't have been for narcissistic abuse and for Beatrizs being terrified about her child and what she needed to do to help his situation, would he be developing into this quantum kid that is just going to be incredible for himself and his children and future generations? Can you see what we are on the threshold of here and how important this work is? And I am passionate. You can tell I'm passionate, because what would have happened if Beatrizs hadn't done the work in her own body? That child would have continued to break down. She would have continued to break down. And there we have an abused pattern set up in that DNA for how many generations after that? So I really hope that Beatrizs' story helps give you hope, because we receive these messages of breakthroughs for parents and their children most days in the NARP community. I have the best job in the world, I really do. So let's now look at what happens for us and our children when we make the shift to lead the way. Starting, we accept and bless the growth lessons our children go through, and we support them with love and space rather than judgment and control. We model for our children honesty, humility, authenticity, and vulnerability. We get real. We show our children by example how to anchor into and create a relationship with their inner selves. And boy, do our kids catch on to that quickly, as Beatrizs' son did. We teach our children detachment from unhealthy others without judgment, no longer handing our power away by making them responsible for ourselves. We do not want our kids growing up as victims, holding disabled, disorganized others, narcissists, responsible for love, approval, survival, and security. Because if we do, they're going to have a lifetime of abuse. We want to shift past that stuff. By example, we teach our children that their inner state and power doesn't depend on what other people are or aren't doing. That's empowerment. Additionally, we grant trust and space to see and feel that our children have the inner wisdom and resources, and they do. Our children are amazing to find their way. And we help them develop and grow into solid, whole, actualized beings beyond neediness, even for us. So truly, we cannot take anyone where we have not gone ourselves. We have to become this person for our child. Are you really starting to understand this now? Gosh, I hope so, because our and our children's well-being, as well as their future generations, evolving beyond abuse, abused trauma patterns depends on this. And I want you to understand, you can help your child in every and any narcissistic situation, because your empowerment and leading the way helps for any situation your child could be facing regarding narcissistic abuse, such as a narcissistic friend or a boss or a narcissistic lover, or spouse. The formula is the same. Heal yourself and how you feel about it, and then you're going to see your child becoming the rising into their power about it. They're going to follow where you go. And often you're going to see them seek you out for advice regarding their situation, whereas they didn't want to hear anything previously. And when you're anchored into your true self, you will know exactly how to guide them. And your child doesn't even have to live with you for this to happen truly, and you don't have to do anything physically with them. This all comes about through you changing your beingness. And also, please know that this formula has proved to be incredibly effective for parents who've been alienated from their children. I have seen parents 30 years down the track who have not seen their children or their grandchildren for 30 years do the healings, come into peace, see and feel it as love and connection, and they are then reunited with their children in the most miraculous of ways. So within, so without. And the important thing is they actually received peace for the first time before that happened, and that created the space for it to happen. Okay, so I can't wait to continue this really important discussion with you, and I know it's a touchy and a really painful subject, and I really want to answer your questions regarding this and help support you because, as I said, this topic is very dear to my heart. I am passionate about not just us cleaning up our trauma, but leading the way for our children, changing future generations, and changing our world, because this is the only way we're going to do it. So if you are ready to take a stand for you and your children, I want to invite you to come over to my 16-day free course where you start healing you and your children and become the generative force leading the way. And you can get this started by clicking the link at the top right of this video. Okay, and if you like this video, and I so hope you did, click the like button. And if you want to see more of my videos, subscribe so that you're going to be notified as soon as each new one is released. And please share with other parents and communities this video so that they can learn how to help their children for real as well. Oh, and so excitedly, next Tuesday, I'm hopping onto a plane and I'm traveling all the way to London with my son, Zach. He's CEO of MTE, and we're both so excited about it. So excited about meeting some of our UK members of the Thriver Tribe. I think it's going to be very hard to not burst into tears. I'm thinking about it now. I am. So, my God, it's going to be so beautiful. So if you are able to get to London next week and you want to meet me, please, you'll find the list of events on my Facebook page, and there's also going to be a link in the description in this video. And there's so many exciting things happening with the book tour. I just can't wait to see you. And this little guy who's been asleep the whole time beside me, he has to be dropped off at his grandparents because he can't come with me. So you certainly won't be seeing Tiggy for a couple of weeks. But anyway, let's just finish off. And you know how it goes. I don't think there's any more important thing than getting this right for our kids and for our world and future generations. So there is nothing else to do except, you know, we've got to be positive. We've got to accept what we're going through. Smile, heal, and thrive. And then, you know, we're going to change ourselves, our kids, and our world. That's it from me. I'll see you in the UK. Lots of love. Bye-bye.